For March 18th, 2009, this is NewsUndies, all the news that shouldn't be news. I'm Paul Torville with these headlines. Pope Benedict XVI demonstrated that he is more than just a single man in a hospital gown, more than just the representative of a single country or religion that is a danger to itself and others. No, he showed he is a representative of the stupidity of all mankind when he announced that condoms are more of a danger than a help in stopping the spread of AIDS. The Pope, who in spite of his wardrobe choices is not a scientist or a medical doctor, made the announcement during a week-long tour of Africa, home to some 22 million AIDS sufferers. The Pope, a man who, if he is to be believed, is celibate and possibly a virgin, stated that a healthy, responsible, and moral view of sex, abstinence until marriage, then monogamous fidelity until death, would do far more to limit the spread of the disease than condoms. It has yet to be explained what, if any, knowledge he has of sex. And now, a segment we like to call Bald-Faced Commentary. A disclaimer. The following commentary contains grown-up words and unpopular opinions. If you are offended by certain words and challenging ideas, come no further. You have been warned. Pope Benedict XVI is a danger to the people who believe that he is Christ's vicar on earth and everyone they come into contact with. Catholicism may be a fading religion, but still a sixth of the world's population is represented. When you have the ear, or at least a foot in the door to the ear, of that many people, especially on matters as grave as AIDS, you'd better have all your ducks in a row. Unfortunately, Pope Benedict's ducks are freaked out on E and tripping on acid in an opium den in the belly of his plane. Pope Benedict's ideas are not just wrong, they're dangerously wrong. They're more wrong and more dangerous, but in a similar vein to the NRA's popular slogan, "Guns don't kill people, people kill people." The Catholic Church has always walked a tightrope when it came to sex. Sex is for procreation, not recreation, they say. What if you're a Catholic woman, barefoot and pregnant, and your tomcat husband, who'll fuck anything with a hole, never mind a heartbeat, brings home a fresh dose of HIV from that business trip? Doesn't know it, doesn't tell you. What then? Now you've got it, and so does your kid. And it'll kill you both, but not before you have lots of opportunities to share the joy of HIV. The time has come to recognize the Pope for what he is, a lonely guy who couldn't get laid, who now wears hospital gowns and makes ridiculous, obscene, and dangerous pronouncements from the exalted isolation of his apartment in the Vatican. There isn't a whole lot that separates the position of the papacy from guys like David Koresh and Jim Jones, and the sooner we all realize it, the better off we'll all be. In other, but not that different news, if you thought people were far too invested in a doll after the recent frothing over Barbie, get ready. Another Mattel property is causing aneurysms all over America. It's Dora, the 2 or 3 years older explorer. It seems some moms whose daughters, now approaching the 5 to 8-year-old range, may be outgrowing the little girl Dora, with her bowl haircut and boyish garb, but they still want to see continuity for their daughters. So they've been petitioning Nickelodeon, and now Mattel, to come up with a slightly older Dora, which they did. Now it's New Coke all over again. Maybe they can get Matt Frewer to revive Max Headroom to be the spokeshead for New Dora. How can people so heavily invested in imaginary friends get anything done in the real world? In keeping with the apparent imaginary friends and dangerous people theme of today's NewsUndies, Reverend David Pinkney of Chichester, New Hampshire, has caused an uproar in his little town by putting up a convicted murderer in his home. Raymond Guay, now 60, was charged in 1973 and convicted of killing a 12-year-old boy in Nashua, New Hampshire. Guay had a number of issues in prison, but reportedly found God in 1993, completed his prison term, and, according to Pinkney, is not a threat. Few of the 2,200 residents of Chichester are reassured. Personally, I'd be keeping an eye on the wood chipper rentals just to be safe. And finally, and I do mean finally, we all saw this. Well, actually, I didn't see this coming. In a follow-up to yesterday's story about Josef Fritzl, the incestuous father of his falsely imprisoned daughter's 7 children and half-siblings, who had pleaded guilty to 4 of the 6 charges levied against him, has now pleaded guilty to all 6. Fritzl will likely spend the rest of his life in a mental hospital. With all the news that shouldn't be news, I'm Paul Torville.